So here we are in the sacred Bambara forest of Gurungi lands, standing at the very home, the eternal resting place of that great ruler of Egypt, Khufu Merititis Netzen Medju, talked of in Egypt in their text over there greatly. So here upon the walls, what we're seeing here is a hole, and it's purpose made. The idea of this hole is that old Egypt seen that a body has two parts to its inner soul, a bar and a ka. The bar part to the soul remains on earth. It's attached to the ground, exactly the same way as traditional Australians feel, that there's a part that's attached to the earth eternally, and after your death, and perhaps part of you might return to the stars one day, one part remains here on earth, the bar. So for Egyptian values, it was seen that the bar returns back into the body's husk, the mummified body, and this is why they mummified bodies, was to make a home for the bar. So the idea here is that the bar returns through this hole and back into the husk of the mummified remains, its home, and adding great credibility to what we're seeing here just by the fact that it's got one. And but what we're seeing here is wonderful. Here we're seeing these images, and we're looking at a set of ideogram text. So this is Proto-Egypt ideogram circa 2566 BC. And what we're seeing is here, between these pinnacles, behind the hidden wall, the ruler of Egypt in her coffin, damaged here, but was more visible some years ago, a sitting god, which is exactly as it should be and told that way in Egypt, where once again it says, between these pinnacles, behind this hidden wall, the ruler of Egypt in a coffin, alongside the sitting god, or spirit is probably the better term. There's always a spirit alongside guarding these resting places. So here it goes, entering into the girl inside, behind the secret door. And just to our left, again in keeping and in perfect grammar to 2566 BC, here we have an image of the cat-faced goddess or spirit, Sekhet. Sekhmet is another way to say her name, and often said that way. So she's a protector of royal tombs and a most powerful spirit of all Egypt's magic. And right here, amazingly, what we have here is the scorpion, and again indicating Sekhmet or Sekhet. And but here in Australian Murray Guelder, two strikes, the word Bula. And so we've got Sekhet breathing newer life. So she's breathing life into this place to continue to exist. Proto-Egypt ideogram, and then at the same time pictogram, you know, two different languages in one, along with Murray Guelder, Australian Aboriginal language. So this, what's important about this is there was a great one from Egypt called the Scorpion King. A great mystery to everybody who that was. We can since demonstrate who that was. That was Mene Nama Osiris. He called the Scorpion King, or the Great Lord of Scorpion, through a medicine that was used in his time. But what happened here in Australia was when this lady died, when Khufu Merititis died, and she was placed in this place for her bar, her ka soul was another matter. And in a much longer story that I'll be more than happy to explain, her ka soul was placed into the tomb nearby on Lion Island, where there we found indicators to Mene Nama Osiris being rested there himself for eternal life. So her ka soul was placed there into his tomb, and she became what's known as the Scorpion King's daughter, solving a mystery that Egyptologists today ponder over: who was the Scorpion King and who was this Scorpion King's daughter, became her. So why we know this to be true is back in Egypt, in a very famous telling, it tells of this very thing. It tells of this glyph in this place, and it says that the author who did this, a man called Djedefo Tempus Makori, King Makori, 4th dynasty, end of 4th dynasty, he tells there, he placed there in this very place that glyph. One text in Egypt matching what's to be found here, bringing this into solid fact, something that can be demonstrated, and I believe the right word to to suggest that is a little bit of information there on the final resting place, the 4th dynasty, Khufu Meritites Hanetsun Medju. There's Hanet here. Between the pinnacles, behind the hidden wall, the ruler of Egypt in a coffin alongside the sitting god, entered forth is Hanet, inside, behind the hidden door.